Program Director, thank you very much. Let me also appreciate the panelists who are here, Mr. Tulani, Me Wendy, and Sis Ntombi. Thank you for the presentations and the sharing of information, especially around he for she. Let me also recognize the presence of Dr. Rajesh, the founder and president of After Career Creators, all the way from India. We really appreciate your presence. Let me recognize the men and women who are in this hall. You're looking very great and stunning, and good morning to all of you. Ladies and gentlemen, in both my roles as the Deputy Minister of Communications and Digital Technologies and as the Secretary General of the Pan-African Women's Organization, an African Union specialized agency, I wish all women here a happy Women's Month. I hope your National Women's Day was spent in some way remembering and affirming the reasons we celebrate this day in our country. To commemorate the 1956 march of approximately 20,000 women to the Union buildings in Pretoria to petition against the country's past laws that required South Africans defined as black under the Population Registration Act to carry an internal passport known as a pass that served to maintain population segregation, control urbanization, and manage migrant labor during the apartheid era. To pay homage to the march leaders, Lillian Ngoyi, Helen Joseph, Rahima Musa, and Anne-Sophia Williams de Bruyn, with many other key participants. And I know today it's a birthday of Mayor Gertrude Shop, and we're saying happy birthday to her. To celebrate the 14,000 petitions left at the office doors of Prime Minister J.G. Stradom, the women stood silently for 30 minutes and then started singing a protest song that was composed in honor of the occasion, Wathinta Bafazi, Wathinta Mbokodo, which translated means, now you have touched the women, you have struck the rock. This national public holiday and a month dedicated to remembering all of the above has a significant impact to draw attention to the plight of women across the country. Did you know that in 1995, the very first year Women's Day was commemorated, there was a mere 2.7% representation of women in Parliament. Today, 2019, we have a historical first of a 50% women representation in cabinet. Comrade Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka, the UN Under-Secretary General and the Executive Director of the UN Women, said in her statement this year on International Women's Day on the 8th of March, and I quote, "At a time when innovation is dominant, shaping and changing the way people live in every part of the world, we have to be intentional about its use to positively impact the lives of women and girls That means making sure that they are not only consumers of innovation, but take their place as innovators. With their engagement, both design and execution of solutions can address the unique needs of women and girls, from the creation of decent work to delivery of products, services, and infrastructure for women in all walks of life. Close quote. The theme for International Women's Day this year is Think Equal, Be Smart, Innovate for Change. It puts innovation by women and girls, for women and girls, at the heart of efforts to achieve gender equality. This is not only a technology race, as it may be seen. This is also a gender equality race. Using innovation and technological advancement, and it starts with making sure that women and girls' needs and experiences are integrated at the very inception of technology and innovation. The future of our country is young, it is black, and it is female. That's why we have to focus on women and young women in particular. This is according to the 2018 stats by Statistics South Africa, with 23,896,700 people of our population being African black females, the highest population demographic of the 57.8 million people living in our country, coupled with the stat that young people between the ages of 15 and 34 years old making up 20.6 million people, which is a noteworthy 35.7% of the total population of South Africa. So our stats are revealing exactly what we are saying. So what does this mean in the context of the fourth industrial revolution? For me, I believe it means building smart solutions that go beyond acknowledging the gender gaps to addressing the needs of men and women equally. The population statistics cannot be ignored, and these two issues of technology advancement and gender issues are intertwined by virtue of the fact that women make up 51% of the population. Ultimately, this means that we need innovations that disrupt business as usual, for sure, but specifically paying attention to how and by whom technology is used and accessed, and ensuring that women and girls play a decisive role in emerging industries. I want the technology sector to stop and think, who is using this product or service? Under what circumstances are they using this platform? And let me tell you a quick story about this that you may or may not have heard before. So please indulge me. Henry Ford conducted a bit of a survey on what men and women wanted from their cars. When he first created the automobile, he deduced that men looked at the exterior of the car, the horsepower, the engine speed and power, and the driver's seat. Women, on the other hand, tended to look at the interior, the passenger seat, the trunk. His stats revealed that women were buying more cars than men. So they adapted cars to suit women's needs by even recessing the door handles because they realized women have longer manicured fingernails. When a company like Ford builds their profits on the back of a manicure and other women's needs, then we should take a leaf out of Henry's Ford book. As companies building profits and driving South Africa's economy, but also as women who contribute to those profits. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the clout, we have the power, we have the influence. We just have to use it. And most importantly, we have to believe in it. This is why having women in the technology sector, in decision-making roles, and guiding and developing are critical to our technological future. Who else can respond to the needs of women than a woman? Innovation and technology reflects their designers and their creators. Women think differently. We think in terms of relevance and circumstances. When it comes to what is referred to as big data, there is growing evidence that women have been routinely left out of the data on which decisions are made, and if algorithms increasingly determine selection and response, then we need to ensure that big data draws on a pool of unbiased information. Big data decisions are all around us, living our lives for us. When groups that are underrepresented and marginalized based on their gender, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status are not designers and creators of technology and innovation and don't get the opportunity to create or at least provide feedback on what is created by others, then those big data decisions can result in things being wrong, or rather a missed opportunity to be better. This might be designs for commuter or pedestrian safety with simple measures like better lighting, better walkways that reflect data on hotspots for attack or harassment. It could also be toilet constructions that support women's period management needs, or the use of biometrics as IDs to replace formal documentations that many women may not have access to, or are in control of when it takes a really serious look at the world we live in today. Broadly, Program Director, the fourth industrial revolution refers to the dissolving of peripheries between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. Of the specific 4IR technologies, artificial intelligence or AI is at the forefront of this reality. AI is already today in everything from face and speech recognition technologies to image analysis software. It's also the cornerstone of self-driving cars and advanced robotics, and the consistent rise of AR in the financial sector will revolutionize the way we do our banking. And we know Standard Bank is leading. That's why I'm blue today. 4IR is not happening to some only and not others. It is happening to everyone around the world. Every single one of us will be faced with the challenges of changes in our work and jobs, let alone our daily lives. Nobody is alone, but every single one of us is also faced equally with the opportunities that it potentially brings. And if we are willing to build our knowledge and upskill ourselves by choice and not by force, because we choose to see it as an opportunity and not as a crisis. The gender digital gap in South Africa is only widening, with women having a lower digital literacy, less access to internet-based technologies, and less relevant online content when compared to men. And this suggests that women may be left out of increasingly digital work opportunities too. And in addition, there is a burden of care and domestic duties that women in South Africa tend to carry. This on top of the fact that they have paid work, which means that women have significantly less time than men to undertake further education and training. Siyazwana mos. And this compromises their ability to boost their digital skills and thereby not being able to easily close the gender digital divide. And as a Deputy Minister for the portfolio on communication and digital technologies, the question on my mind constantly is, how do we create a shared future in a fractured world? And this is not only in South Africa, but across Africa and across the world. Now, there's something interesting that I thought we should also share from the World Economic Forum. The Gender Gap Report issued by the World Economic Forum in 2014, and we are now in 2019, predicted that the world will reach gender parity by 2095. Where will we be? Unfortunately, to date, the anticipated gap has worsened, and now we are looking at the gap only being closed as late as 2133. This is not me, it's World Economic Forum. That's just under 120 years from now. Where will we be? And so many generations away. As a South African woman who was part of the liberation movement of our country's struggle for freedom, I will admit to you that I'm frustrated by this. Aren't you? We are all. In this Women's Month, we see events and gatherings like this one, and thanks to Standard Bank, that have discussions and forums that deal with overcoming issues of disempowerment, issues of digital disempowerment, issues of sexual harassment, gender pay gaps, and more. All of this contributes to a fractured world that keeps you and me up at night. And this is why occasions of this nature are critical to the empowerment of women. And while we may not see that fateful day of 2133, the 120 years to come of gender parity ourselves, we will know that we contributed to this journey side by side with Standard Bank and many other companies. This is why we must not only continue to foster a culture of science, technology, engineering, and maths, STEM education, Sis Helen, for girls, but integrate the gender goals into the 4 IR goals. We need to be encouraging young women not only to understand technology to close the digital divide, but to use the advancement of technology to merge it with entrepreneurship to create economic opportunities for themselves and inspiring girls to pursue careers that are more secure and less likely to be automated. And this brings me to what the impact of the acceleration of the pace of technological change and how it will affect what roles women can play in the economy, politics, as well as society. After everything I have said today, the question I have for every person in this room is whether you as a decision maker in your homes, at workplaces, will allow the impact of the fourth industrial revolution to worsen inequality of women or to better it. We must create opportunities for women and girls to contribute to making a real change in the world and help shape policies, services, infrastructure that impact on all our lives. As we have seen from the likes of young Greta Thunberg in climate change activism in Europe, when we equip and empower, they are ready to make the world a better place for us, including the boy child. I like the he for she that we were exposed to. So, ladies and gentlemen, overcoming the challenges and obstacles of this requires collaboration, it requires partnership, it requires participation of everyone, both genders, all industries, governments, private sector, and civil society. I ask each one of you to join us in celebrating women and girls this month, but specifically in the context of the fourth industrial revolution, through the things that make the female of the future unique and powerful beyond measure. Malibongwe. Igama lamakhosikazi. Thank you.